Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Preview. This is a series that hasn't had an update in quite a while, but before I get into sort of the reasons for that, I do want to go ahead and mention real quick right here at the start that I did receive a key for this title. I did not purchase it myself. Now, as for why this series has not gotten any updates in quite a while, and by quite a while I mean I think close to 4 years now, maybe even longer potentially. I really don't recall when the last time I did one was. The reason for that is quite simple. This series is largely intended for checking out games that are in early access. This game actually is not in early access. It actually recently came out. I don't have the date right off the top of my head, but it was fairly recent. And so I'm sort of making an exception. But nonetheless, as I was saying, the main reason this series hasn't received any updates in a while is I just haven't found really any early access games that interest me enough for me to be willing to either purchase it myself or try to get my hands on a key for it so that I can play it for the channel and show it off. Add to that as well that I also just don't really get very many, in the case of keys, all that many offers for it. I'm not a particularly large channel, that's not too surprising. But nonetheless, it is also part of the reason. The few that I have gotten recently just haven't been games that I think are that interesting to me. That I think, I mean, people would probably like it on the channel, but they're just not titles that particularly interested me personally. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into this. Now, you are joining me part the way through we'll call it a campaign. This game does start in 1986. We are currently in 1998, so we've gone about 12 years. Actually about to click over to 13 years even. And in this game, you run a company that designs CPUs. You are Intel or AMD, as we want to go with the big two. You can design other types of processors, of course. You can design RISC-based processors, so, you know, you're not limited to AMD or Intel, technically speaking. But nonetheless, before we sort of go into this, I figure it might be worth sort of talking about earlier events for this series, or this campaign rather. So we have our first processor here, the Core 1, because the company is called Core. It is our best seller so far. 3 SKUs, 71 megahertz, 57 and 45 megahertz. So, you know, this is released 1989, so 3 years into the game. Unsurprisingly, most of the market share is business related. That's really not a surprise when we're talking in the late, when we're talking late 80s. Looks like we actually do have a little bit of gaming here, surprisingly, on the 157 and a bit more on the 145. Now, the thing to note is that the successor to this was the Core 2. The Core 2 was largely a flop, as noted by it only having a profit of $665K. Reason for that is quite simple. When we were designing the thing, it took so damn long to get out that the original fabrication company that we were going to go ahead and have a agreement with to have them actually manufacture it for us, proceeded to stop supporting that node process that we were using. And so I had to go and try and find a new one, and it made up for a little bit, but not a whole lot. Also ended up with a similar issue here with the Core 2. I believe originally I was going to have it manufactured, by ICM here. Unfortunately, similar thing happened there. Right as this thing was coming out, they stopped supporting that node process, and so I'm currently still stuck in a contract with them Or nope, actually looks like that contract is actually able to be terminated at no penalty. So let's go ahead and do that now, because they are not supporting that anymore, because this is a 500 nanometer process. And they only support 350 to 130. So we ended up going with TSPC, who is very clearly supposed to be TSMC in this case, because they still supported this tech process and they were able to produce the most. So we are making money. Now, your office doesn't start out this big. The Core 1 sold so well that we were able to very quickly buy our initial office, and then proceeded to, a few years later, while working on the Core 2, upgrade to a much larger office. We went from an office that I think was like 900 square meters, I believe it was, something like that, to one that is now 4,400 square meters. So, significantly larger office. It might have even been 1131 for the original, I don't recall. It was a small office, and this is a significant upgrade that we're not even taking advantage of most of the room. But it's better to be able to have that room so we can expand into it, rather than trying to cram everything into a small space, or need to upgrade our office again down the road. I think for now we're pretty much set. Now the Core 3 recently came out. When did that one come out again? Last year. And it's doing very well. It will probably surpass the Core 1 if I had to guess. The Core 3 largely came about due to the failure of the Core 2 in this case. In part due to costs. Recommended price of this thing is $1,073. And it just wasn't cutting it. This one is making quite a bit more money. Now, it is, I believe we're, oh no, I actually don't have any queued up research right now. So let's go ahead and queue up some research. If we have anything particularly worth researching. We're about to go to 1999. Big thing I'm looking for is the mass year to an extent. I have played a few campaigns and I've run into an issue, and I think it's largely just due to me being a different demographic than what most people would expect here. And that is that I kind of like to design my CPUs to be balls to the wall, max out everything. Unfortunately, that doesn't sell well because of the costs when you do that. Okay, we've gone ahead and researched PCI. We can go ahead and design a, oh, okay, no. So I was already working on a new design. That's what this was. Okay. So welcome to the Core 4. It's going to be a 350 nanometer process. We're sticking with CISC, which is complex instructions, rather than RISC. Because if we go to RISC, the well, it doesn't actually seem to impact quite as much here. Well, yeah, instructions per cycle does decrease quite a bit, so our IPC drops quite a bit. I'm not a fan of that, so yeah, I've just kind of been ignoring RISC as an option. It's not valid as far as I'm concerned. We're focusing on pure performance, and you know what? I think we can go with a complex design nowadays without too much issue. I feel like those instructions per clock dropped for no reason that I can determine. Yeah, those definitely dropped. I swear that was higher. Well, this is as good as we're going to be able to get with current tech. I mean, I could bump a lot of these sliders up higher. I think those will increase the requirements for designing it a little bit too much to make it viable. Okay, I think that'll work. Go ahead and click that frequency up as high as it'll go. Maybe a 233, a 187, and a 149. Connection interface, let's go ahead and swap that to PCI, which means I need to add some more pins, and that of course means I need to rename our socket. Are we really still stuck on BGA? It's only 4 million to research new pin types. That's expensive. That would probably be a significant boost to our performance. We can't afford that. That is way too expensive right now. That would put us in debt, and I don't think the Core 3 is going to sell well enough that it'll make up for that. And I don't really feel like taking a massive loan because I think I already have, I already got about 3 million in loans. Okay, yeah, nope, I think we're gonna keep this design as is pretty much. And, maybe the next one will get off of BGA. I mean, is anybody off of BGA? Out of curiosity? Well, you're calling that an LGA, so presumably, yep, that's on LGA. Whoever the hell this company is. Oh, okay, a lot of these guys are actually already moved to LGA. That's not fun. Okay, and this is clearly a server CPU or server board or socket type because you got 4. Oh no, you get max sockets on the motherboard is 8. Where the hell are you fitting 8? I only see 4 slots. Or is this referring to the... No, that can't be RAM. Because this is max memory sticks. Where the hell are the other 4? I'm guessing it's just not drawing it. Or they're on the backside, which would be a very weird design. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and stick with our tried and true BGA for now. And again, maybe next time we'll get off of that. We got to insert that key. It's very important. Do a 10% on the heat spreader. Or on the main heat spreader, we'll do another 10% on the overlay heat spreader. And top, bottom, with the company, the model, and then the production number. I think that'll work. Okay, now who can build me a 350 nanometer and hopefully build lots of it? Well, I've already got a relation with ICM here, and it's a pretty decent relationship. I'm going to go ahead and do max volume commitment. I want 505 wafers per month, which should give us 198,000 or... Is that really 198,000 chips per month? Good lord, that'll crash the market. Yeah, no, how about we do something a bit more reasonable? We'll do like 200 volume commitment for... can we get a nice round number here? A nice round number, game. I need a nice round number, preferably. There we go. 84,000 chips a month. That should be... I still think that's way too high, in all honesty, but hey, whatever. It's what they're willing to give me. Let's do an average priority. Expected chip cost is 16.57. And this is where it becomes, okay, how much can we get away with charging people? that looked very different for some reason on that screen. No, well, okay, never mind. I'm not going to bother fiddling with that further. Okay, so how much can we charge? Let's go and see what other people's CPUs are going for. Release dates, they are, generally speaking, look to be under 600. Although we do have some Intech ones that are over 9 and approaching 1,000. I'm mostly trying to find something that roughly competes with ours. So our best is a 233 megahertz with 448 kilobytes of L2 cache. You don't have any L2 cache. What was our clock speed again? 233. Motovella here has a higher clock speed, and they actually have hyper-threading. That's no bueno. How much does it cost to get hyper-threading? And then, of course, how much more does that cost to add it? 35 million. Yep, nope, that ain't happening this generation. Maybe the next one, guys. Don't worry. Hyper-threading is not a common occurrence yet. Motovella seems to be the only one with that. Although Intech looks to have dual cores already. Not a fan of that. But that does influence our pricing. So, okay. We're looking at probably roughly competing with the Motovellas and the Serenius here, which are most expensive, looks to be $800 for a Motovella. So I think what we're going to do is our chip costs, ICM here, are 16.39. Excuse me, 16.47. If my understanding is correct, we should be able to get away with probably doing 1,000 for the top end SKU. We'll do 800 for the mid SKU, and I think I'll do 600 for the bottom SKU. I think that'll work. Go ahead and start development on that. Core 3 is now losing us money, so we're just going to go ahead and stop manufacturing of those. In theory, we should continue to sell any that we have on hand, but yeah, unfortunately, the Core 3 did not manage to make more profit than the Core 1, unfortunately. And for now, we just wait until we can get the Core 4 released. What is taking up so much? I mean, it's probably the loan payments. I mean, they're, yeah, they're pretty pricey. Let's go ahead and make a deposit. What is that? 24 million. I don't got 24 million. How the hell are you expecting me to make a deposit of that? That doesn't seem right. Leave at 73k. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, we're just gonna have to go ahead and try to get the Core 4 out, and I may need to take out a loan. Should be able to do a small one though. Hopefully. We're losing what, about 900,000 a month? It looks like. Well, okay, more like $1 million. And not quite. That math ain't mathin'. Well, we got no more loans now. How is that still sitting at 6.5 million expenses? That just seems weird to me. Okay, I'm gonna have to take out a loan. Nope, minimum loan. 48-month repayment time. Of course, that didn't actually do much for us. Put us into debt. Take out a larger loan. 48-month repayment time. We'll survive. Probably. Should be noted, I'm not particularly great when it comes to management games. One of the main reasons why you don't generally see them on the channel. I do like them, but I suck at it. Okay, here we go. Oh, these guys loved this one for once. Usually I get a bunch of, like, not great and neutrals. New process technology, 350 nanometers, IPC grew by 96%. New RAM type, clock speeds ranging from 149 megahertz to 233, up 66% increase. TDP change. Game doesn't seem to be able to really handle those calculations. Maximum number of cores remains 1. Overall performance gain 329% to 359%. There we go. Yep. See? Already bringing in millions. Okay, so year is 2001. And we have still yet... Has anybody broken the gig? Out of curiosity? Frequency. Yes. MISP has managed to break the gig. Also, that is an expensive-ass CPU. $14,000. What the hell is that thing doing? I don't know. But it is ridiculously expensive, whatever it's doing. Now, we need to throw this money into trying to improve our processors. 30 million to get multimedia instruction sets. 25 million to get AGP. I think we can skip RAM bus and go straight to DDR. It's significantly cheaper as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and get the new pin type. That should be researched fairly quickly. And you can queue technology. I'm just not doing that right now. 35 million to get 250 to 130 nanometer. But how are the companies behaving when it comes to manufacturing? They're currently still mostly sitting in the 350 to 130. Question is whether or not they stay there. Well, I think they should, generally speaking. We got 69 million. Do we want to get module architecture? It's not very expensive and doesn't seem like it should take too long to research either, realistically. Yep, nope, not long at all. That's a pretty significant boost to our designs going forward. Threading. Threading is 35 million, but I think we need to get that. Oh, it's so damn expensive. I mean, I can get both, but the question is whether or not that'll leave me with enough money to do a design and get it to out into the field. Especially since I also have $7 million in a loan that I still need to pay as well. Which it should be noted, this game does not allow you to pay that off early. You are locked into that for term. We're going to go multimedia first, because it is currently the mass year for that. Okay, we still have 60 million to go. Screw it, let's go ahead and get multi-threading. Pipeline 14 to 20, that's very expensive, and I don't think it matters too much for our use case right now. I don't think DDR is going to take too long to research. Let's go ahead and snag that. Core 4 has made more money than the Core 1 now. Who's made them? Yeah, damn, they're just riding on that money. That's a lot of money that has made them. These are older designs. We're the only one who has a design on the first page of profits with a post-2000 design. So how much of that is just due to them not having released anything post-2000 for the most part? And it seems to be the case, actually. Okay. I think we're going to go ahead and jump into designing the Core 5 now. I mean, this thing hasn't even been out that long. Not even a year, but hey. Technology marches ever on. Time for the Core 5. Module design. Ours was a 350, right? Let's go down to 250. Multimedia instruction set, performance, dynamic 2-bit branch prediction, complex. Let's do 9 there, 25% there, 48 there, L2 cache, standard memory controller, 2 threads per core, DDR. Now, this is where I have run into a bit of an issue. That is... This doesn't seem to necessarily support market segmentation in the way that I would have expected it to. And this is probably my only real complaint with this game. Good lord, those are some shitty scores. Why are they so bad? What's the multi-casual performance on this thing? Well, unfortunately, it doesn't actually just let me see it right there. 12, okay. Release date, most recent processor that has come out. Intech, Tanzanite. Okay, I think we're gonna need to hold off on this design, and I think we're gonna have to get... Where is it? I need multi-core. I don't think it's cluster size. It's multi-socket, but I don't need multi-socket. I need multi-core. I need something to really improve this, because my god. Okay, we need some more tech, because that's not cutting it. Do we try to spring for 64-bit? I think it might be a little bit too early for that, though. Let's go ahead and get that pipeline length. I didn't think it was going to be needed, but evidently I was wrong about that. I think it's going to make a big difference. I really need to get that clock speed up. What can I do to get the clock speed up? Let's go ahead and snag AGP. Actually, do I need it? No, because no, I do. It's better. AGP is better than PCI, although it'll admittedly be a short-lived technology. But all of our technology has been pretty short-lived. We're not at the point where technology is slow enough that we can just kind of reuse stuff. Do we go ahead and... yeah, we're going to go ahead and do it. Get the advanced SISIC. Didn't seem to make as big of a difference as I expected it to. Okay, I think we're gonna need to get cluster size as well, which admittedly I think is kind of early for us to be needing that. Well, advanced compatibility we're actually behind on. Let's go ahead and snag that while we have the money coming in from the Core 4. Seem to make as big of a difference as I was hoping it would. I have no reason to get ARM at this point, since I already have something better. That's a 237. They have gone ahead and... okay, we're gonna go ahead and snag that so that we can design smaller processors, which will hopefully help our performance more. Still haven't managed to break a gig or gigahertz, which I think is the main thing holding us back, is that I can't quite manage to snag past a gigahertz. We've hit a wall. If we can't break past this wall, it's going to cause us major issues down the road. This is for us to be able to build our own stuff, which we're not at that point where that's really a viable option. Okay, let's go ahead and get +2 2+ cluster. That won't take very long to research, and we got the money right now. Don't think that did enough to matter. Let's go ahead and snag 64-bit processors as well. This wall is very dangerous. I think this is for us to be able to build our stuff ourselves as well, so that's not super useful. That's expensive, but I think make a big difference. And the 80K to upgrade our guys' hardware. What are you looking at over here? Looks like he's just playing solitaire or something. Oh, of course, now you switch to something else. Sales seem to have pretty much dried up on the core force. We really need to get a new product out. That makes a big difference there. That gets the clock speed up, but our performance is significantly hampered. The not AMD made something that is selling like hotcakes. These won't take very long to research and are very cheap. Let's go ahead and snag them. They're not going to make a difference in terms of our actual CPU designs. Because those will only matter when we get to the designing the socket. Oh, here we go. I was being an idiot and apparently not realizing. Okay, yep, I'm an idiot. We could have definitely started getting that out much sooner. Okay. Out of curiosity, does anybody have any? Oh, okay. Not Intel is releasing a 6-core 12-thread CPU already in 2003. It's obviously a server CPU. It has to be, yeah. That apparently is not selling at all. I can't say that's too surprising. You're asking for $10,000 for a CPU. Okay. I think we're gonna go with a 642 setup. This is going to be our K7 and our K4. Excuse me, our K3. No, we'll call it the K6, K4, the K2. Now, this is where I ran into a bit of an issue with the game. And I think it's largely just a case of me having a different idea of how I believe that should work compared to how the game believes that should work. Okay, here we go. And KLGA 771. Oops, one too many sevens. let's just go ahead and do this stuff real quick. 10, 10, top, bottom, company model, production number, insert the key. Side cutouts are horizontal because that's just the way I prefer it. No rounded corners. We're gonna call that dark green, but I feel like that's... I guess it's a different opinion of necessarily what dark green should mean. I feel like that's a lighter green than normal green, to me personally. But I think it might just be because this is a deeper green, which is kind of what I expected dark green to be. Well, this is... looks like it's got a bit more of a shift on probably like the blacks, to make the color not pop quite as much. We're gonna go ahead and stick with green substrate. We won't choose anybody right now. So doing it that way, we end up with 18 different SKUs of products. With pricing that just doesn't make any sense for what you get. The reality is, of course, that in the real world, a generation of CPU probably only typically has between like 6 and 9 SKUs, generally speaking. Obviously, there are some exceptions to that, but generally speaking, when you're talking consumer CPUs, take a look at Intel and AMD's naming conventions. They generally have 2, maybe 3 at most of each, within each of the main product categories. So, you know, in the case of Intel, you'll have 2 or 3 i7s per generation, 2 or 3 i5s per generation, 2 or 3 i3s per generation, generally speaking. Again, there might be some exceptions to that, but that's sort of the general rule of how things go. So realistically, I'd do something more like this. But then I've noticed a bit of an issue that this doesn't quite do the naming as I would expect it to. So we'll probably want to call this like the 5600, and we'll call this the 5400 and the 5200, and I'll have that add 32, add 5, add 4. If we do that, what we end up with is 9 SKUs. But actually, let's go back real quick. So, you know, I don't want the threading on the K2s. So I'm going to go ahead and refer to this as the, override this with K2 as the model. So, okay. Well, I end up with a 6-core 12 thread, a 6-core 12 thread, and a 6-core 6 thread. Well, that's not quite right once we take into account. And see, this is being listed as a 604. That shouldn't be a 604, should it? No, that shouldn't be a 604. But it's being listed as 604 because it's just adding 4 to this, which is a 6-core. But realistically, what I would want, and this is the way things work in the real world as well when it came to product segmentation for CPUs, generally speaking, this would be the K6. Well, no, not necessarily. I would have the K6, which is our 6th core, and then I would have 3 SKUs within that that have different speeds, and those would all have hyperthreading enabled. K4s would, in the real world, if we follow Intel's naming convention for this rough time period, if memory serves me correctly, would generally also have hyperthreading and be lower core count, that hence the K4 here. But they would generally be locked outside of the top end SKU. And the lower end SKU, which would be the i3s historically, although we call them the K2s here, would be 2 cores and would probably be locked and no threads. But this doesn't quite do that the way I would want it to do that, because I don't want a 6-core, 6-thread CPU. Based off how historical market segmentation has generally been handled, this product should not be able to exist. In my opinion, you should probably be able to adjust your core binning in a bit more detail and probably put it where it's basically down here in the frequency binning section effectively. Just me, because this doesn't really seem to quite do what I would expect it to do. Because I should be able to have a locked and no threading enabled 2-core CPU without this resulting in a magical 6-core, 6-thread CPU that's locked. Because that just doesn't make any sense to me. That product should not be able to exist in my mind. And it might just be a misunderstanding of how these all interact with each other that's causing me to have that thought as to how that works. What we're going to do is we're going to lock that lowest speed frequency. And then we will do it like that. Okay, who can I work with? Well, ICM is basically free. And by basically free, I mean they have a lot of free space to work on my stuff for me. So let's pull on volume commitment. They will give me 14.4 thousand chips a month. I feel like I could probably use more than that, although they don't. They seem to have the most manufacturing capacity. Okay, yeah, these guys just don't have much in the way of manufacturing of 130 nanometer nodes, evidently. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and do a double contract with ICM and... Ooh, Jesus Christ, you guys want 500 as the expected cost? No, that's way, way too expensive for my liking, buddy. We're going to go to not Samsung. Or not, because good lord, that's expensive. Expected chip cost 2,000. No thanks. You micro. 2,000. Nope, that's way too expensive. Infinitec. Why y'all so damn expensive? Is it just because I have a relationship with ICM that they're willing to do it so cheap for me? That must be the reason, because good lord, everybody is expensive. Okay. We're going to go, I think, with just ICM. We will probably not quite make as much money as we could. Yeah, these guys are expensive as all hell. Yeah, I mean, these should still be cheap enough that people will buy them. I still don't think these processors should be allowed to exist. We'll go ahead and release that. Core 4 does not seem to be selling anymore. I also don't think they're producing anymore either. Let's check on that. Yeah, ICM doesn't seem to be able to produce that anymore. What's the node on Core 4 350? Let's see. Can I maybe get somebody else to continue to produce it for a little bit so we can try to get some money out of this? Who has the lowest defect density? Well, it looks like TSPC is the next one after ICM, but I don't think it matters quite as much. Wow, they'll give me a lot. Holy crap. Okay, you know what? TSPC, you win. We'll go ahead and sign that contract. Continue to try to sell more Core 4s while we wait. 113 to... Oop, I need to add more servers. I need a lot more servers, evidently. Holy crap, okay. Go ahead and add one more extra just for... I feel like we should have had these types of monitors a while ago. This is 2004. These beige CRTs would have already been out for a few years now, at least. Okay. Core 4 continues to sell. Is that like the most profitable? Yep, that is currently the most profitable CPU that has ever been released. And I don't think it's that great of a design, because we deliberately held it back just to try to keep costs down, as well as development time. Oh, actually, I kind of sort of forgot. ICM, let's break that contract. No need to keep it going, because you're not producing it anymore. And I got 75 days left on that before I can cancel that. 14 more days. You're producing a shit ton of these things, but they ain't selling. Let's go ahead and do that to free up money. Let's dump enough in here to cover 2 million monthly deposits. That'll hopefully pretty much cover actual expenses. Now, realistically, I should probably look into building another set of offices. I think the ones on the other side are 5x5. No, they're 6x6 except for this one. This one had to be a 5x5. That's the software? Yeah, software. Oh, engineering is also spelled wrong here. Not too important, but something to note. Okay, that was the physics room, software room. Architecture, physics, software. I left one out, evidently. Yes, I left off the engineering room because I literally mentioned about it being misspelled and then forgot about it. Okay, and engineering is going to get a 5x6 room. And excuse me, this is actually a 5x6, not a 5x5. I'm going to go ahead and expand our rec room a little bit. Hopefully make people a little bit happier. Okay, how many more employees can we fit in? What is that, like 55? The reality is I don't pay attention to people's skills. I just hire them. Just hire everybody. Fill the rooms. We got the money. More people to hire. Bring them in. Need more servers. Let's go ahead and add some more servers in. I think it's silly that that plant is in the way enough to matter, but okay. We're going to go ahead and add some extras because we're going to be getting more people anyway. More people means faster development. Look at this fancy dude. He's got a laptop. This is 2005. I don't think laptops look like that, but okay. I mean, I would have been like 10 in 2005. Yeah, the laptops did not look like that. That's like a 90s laptop. $3.8K to upgrade people. I don't know what we upgraded them with, because I didn't see any obvious hardware changes there. Looks like we got enough for about 6 more people. And should have 6 more people to hire now. And that should, yep, that fills us up. Happiness is not doing too great, but I think that's largely due to a rec room that is too small for their liking. They want something that is stupidly massive. I think this is sufficient. Okay, IPC Times gives it a 48, Tech Verdict gives it a 12, and Benchmark Bureau gives it a 32. That's not particularly great. IPC grew by 122%, new RAM type, clock speeds are 270% increase, TDP changed from 5 watts to 34 watts, maximum number of cores increased to 6, overall performance gains in the line range from 4,510% to 6,062%. That should bring in oodles of money that we can then proceed to spend on this 2006. Let's go ahead and figure out how to add L3 cache to our processors. And you know what? I got the money. Let's go ahead and increase the pipeline even more. We're not quite selling every single processor that we make, but it's pretty damn close, all things considered. Well, it's now 2007. Let's go ahead and we're gonna skip PCIe 1. We're gonna go to PCIe 2. Yeah, I don't really expect this to get to the 1.1 billion that the Core 4 managed to make, all things considered. Because I feel like it's not actually that great of a design, all things. We can go ahead and jump to DDR3, which I'm kind of inclined to do. Do we have anybody doing those 65? Or are we still running around with... oh, nope, we've got a 55 from Fujitech. Okay. We're going to go ahead and skip 130 to 65 and jump straight to 65 to 32 nanometer. It's going to take a fair little bit to research, but we'll do. I mean, yeah, we're pretty close to selling pretty much everything we make, but we're not quite making it there. It's not missing it by much. It's usually only like 1 to 2K. And let's go ahead and grab DDR3. And we're going to start working on the Core 6, which will incorporate these new technologies. And it probably won't come out for 2 years. Let's go ahead and get that. Whatever this technology is for, I don't even know. I'm not a hardware engineer, so most of these things are not things that I could really tell you what it means. Yeah, let's go ahead and make this even bigger. Ooh, do we go ahead and grab AVX? Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and grab Ring. It's 2009. Hybrid branch prediction. That's a little late for us. Oh, Core 5 is no longer selling. I'm guessing you moved on to smaller nodes. Yes, you did. Double check myself. It's a 130, isn't it? Yes, it's a 130. Okay, TSPC, it's your time to shine. I need you to continue producing these. And I'm going to go ahead and break the contract with ICM because they're no longer producing things. I was about to say, you guys better not have signed that contract and then immediately dropped support for that node. I'd have been pissed. Oh, do we go and grab Turbo Boost? It's 2009, almost 2010. This is a mass year of 2010. Let's do it. We got a lot of people. We can just brute force the research for the most part. Four threads per core. That's 2007-23. I don't, at least in the consumer space, I don't know of any processor that actually has 4 or even 8 thread per core. Okay, now realistically, I'm probably going to start designing this, but that's going to be the end of this part, or this episode rather. And we're just going to go ahead and design a balls to the wall design. Nope, we're not slapping 12 cores on this thing. It's freaking 2009. Even 6 cores is actually fairly generous. Okay, now this is where we get into the, well, that's just ridiculous thing. This is a 4.42 gigahertz processor in 2009. Also, TDPs are measured in the thousands of watts. That's still ridiculously high. Because when I go to actually design this, I need it to be able to withstand, and this maxes out at 1,000 watts. So I need to get this under 1,000 watts. And I wish I had a bit more granular control over this. Okay, we're gonna have a base frequency of 8.84 megahertz and turbo to 1.37. And we're, nope, these are the K6s, guys. You should know this by now. 6600, 6400, and 6200. 3 of these, locked for the lowest. You know what? No threads, and like that. Okay. Now, how do I name this thing? I think we're gonna make the top end the add 37 to that. You're gonna add 10, and you're going to add 76. That does actually result in a somewhat confusing naming convention, in all honesty, actually. How about minus 20? No, minus 10, minus 20, minus 30. And we're gonna have each of these go up an extra 100 from where they realistically should be. That way this becomes the 66, 90, 80, and a 70. That should do it. Now I need 985 watts there. 4 max slots, PCIe 2.0. 20mm wide CPU. That's pretty small. How many? Ooh, okay, I can't quite get that many pins. And adding more processors does not actually increase the number of pins that I can do. This is an expensive socket as well. Why does that complain about it not being DDR3? Oh, it's just because, yeah, the CPU doesn't actually support DDR2 or regular DDR even, actually. Okay, so I need to decrease the number of pins. How the hell do you expect me to do that? That didn't seem to make a difference. Okay. Pipeline length. Nope. This doesn't seem to get any real benefits after about 20 kilobytes. This doesn't really get anything after about 600-ish. This doesn't seem to get any real benefit after about 18-ish. Still can't. Still need 8,000 pins. Good lord, why do I need so many pins? The cluster size? No, cluster size doesn't make a difference. I don't know why that is requiring so many pins. Okay, decreasing pipeline length. Okay. Okay. This doesn't matter for that at all. Literally zero difference. This makes all the worlds of difference. There is a certain point where this significantly increases the pin requirements. It is somewhere after 30. Similar thing here. We're going to stick you at 30. That is sitting at 6,000. Drop that down to 30%. That is at 5,700. 52. We'll drop that down to 20. I can increase the turbo frequency now as well, which also means I can decrease. Okay, this is quite a bit of fiddling around here to get the everything within spec. We'll just do the 40-40 there. I think that'll do for a 280 watt TDP. That's before I crank this stuff up. Need to be under 1,000 watts idle for max TDP, so I can increase the idle to 2 gigahertz. I like that. I like that a lot. Though realistically, I think that's still far too hot now. We're gonna do a 1.5 base, and we'll do a 2 gigahertz boost. I mean, come on guys, it's 2009. I have to double check what some processors were like at that time, but that seems fairly reasonable. Oh, but used pins is still too high now. Okay. 1.4 and 1.9. 420 watts. There we go. 3984. There we go. KLG. 3984. Organic copper 10%. 10%. No rounded corners, horizontal cutouts. Top bottom company model production number. This is a 32 nanometer node. Who can do a 32 nanometers for me? My good friends ICM can do it for me. We'll start with just ICM. Now, these are stupidly expensive. $11,000 for what is effectively supposed to be a consumer CPU. That ain't selling at all. Let's just sort by release date. What are you guys selling your stuff for? AM7. About recommended is 4,400. We'll say you're selling for about 37 for your top end SKU. So, and that was a 8-thread, 8-core, excuse me, 8-core, 8-thread CPU with a 4-watt TDP. Okay. My thing is going to need a nuclear reactor. Yeah, these TDP values I don't think are accurate in any way for what a processor of this capability would actually have. Unless you're doing some weird way of measuring TDP, you're not going to have an 8-core, 8-thread CPU running at 1.14 gigahertz that has a 4-watt TDP. Just no. That doesn't make any freaking sense at all. Let's look at Intel here. Because their stuff is actually currently selling. They're looking at a 7,700 is the recommended price, but their current price of under 2K. So realistically, we're probably looking at no, that's way way too cheap, buddy. We're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 for that, 4,500 for that. We'll do 4,000 there. I mean, what's our expected chip cost? 45 bucks. You know what? We're gonna do 4,800 there, 4,600, 4,400, 4,200, 4,000, 38, 36, and I feel like for this hunk of junk, I should probably just make it significantly cheaper. We'll do 3,000 for the hunk of junk. Now, I have no idea if these are really the right prices. But that's going to be it for this video. The reality is, I don't think this is the type of series where I could see myself doing an actual series for it, and it's not because the game is bad. It's just that I have a hard time making management games interesting. Again, I suck at playing management games. I like them, but I suck at playing them. Add to that as well that I suck at them so much that I mean I can have a good start and then everything will just go to hell shortly thereafter, typically. And some people might say, "Oh well, seeing you try to get out of everything falling apart is interesting," and you'd be right. That can be interesting. Unfortunately, it generally just kind of makes me annoyed more than anything else, which I don't think is particularly interesting to watch. So yeah, the reality is I just don't see myself ever doing a let's play of any sort of management game. I can certainly see myself still doing a let's preview like this of other management games potentially, if I find any that end up piquing my interest like this one did, because I can't say I've seen really any other game that has you running around as I say running around, trying to manage a hardware company that makes computer hardware like this. The closest type of game I can think of is an older one. If I recall correctly, it was Game Biz Tycoon, or did they have the Tycoon name in it? I don't recall. I think it might have just been Game Biz 3 actually, now that I think about it. I don't think they had the Tycoon name in it. Fun little game. But that game, you're not playing as a hardware company. You are a game development company that then has the option to get into producing hardware. I don't think I've ever managed to make the hardware in that game actually profitable. You can certainly do it. I just don't think I've ever managed to do it myself. Now, there is one other thing I wanted to mention about this game real quick before we go ahead and sign off. I have had issues with saves not loading correctly. They do this. I don't know what the deal is with this. I'm going to try to reach out to the developer and figure out if I can get like find where a log file is or something to send them, because yeah, this is unfortunately a major downside when it comes to this game. And the thing is, it didn't happen earlier in the day when I was just playing this for myself. This only started recently when I started playing it this most recent session to start this campaign, as we're calling it, before I started recording. Well, this one and one before where I just completely fell apart, and yeah, there's no recovering from that one. But nonetheless, so yeah, I need to try to reach out to the dev to figure out what's going on here and why this is not loading saves correctly. Because I'm pretty sure this is literally just the background. Should be noted, this game is on Unity, which probably should have mentioned that sooner. That can certainly be a turnoff for some people, because I do know that some people have major issues with Unity. But yes, for some reason, recently the game just doesn't seem to load and just kind of dumps you here, wherever here is. And I believe this is just the background for the cityscape, and it just doesn't load the actual what is supposed to be the city in reality. And they don't have the options on the side here to be able to go to my office or anything, and nothing opens here. Very weird bug. Got to figure out what's going on there. Actually, even the escape menu doesn't load. But yeah, so once this bug gets sorted out, though, I think this game will be great, in my opinion. But until then, goodbye and farewell. Well, until next time, rather, goodbye and farewell.